Good morning. Once more, I welcome you to a Sunday Thought. Now, this Sunday is really interesting because tomorrow is solstice, a wonderful, powerful solstice. And then in 5 days, it is Christmas Day. Got me thinking a little bit about Christmas because it's different this year. Most people can't travel to their family. Most people can't really congregate in larger groups. So often a lot of the joy of community and getting together at Christmas time is kind of wiped out. But let's think of the main message of Christmas. On Wednesday, I'm going to tell one of my Christmas stories. I've written 3 different stories over many years and presented them. But I thought for my Wednesday, I would read one of them. I don't like reading particularly because it feels a little stilted, but I really like some of the stories that I've written over the years, and I wanted to share that one for you on Wednesday. That comes up on YouTube channel. Now, first of all, let's talk about solstice. This solstice is really impactful. You have the 2 largest planets, Saturn and Jupiter, in our eyes, passing, which creates a tremendous light in the sky, often called the Bethlehem Star, and it is really large. And I was reading and I thought, oh goody, I can do this, because solstice actually happens at 2:02 a.m. on Monday morning, and that's on the West Coast here, and I certainly am not probably going to be outside at 2:02 a.m. on Monday, where they are predicting a lot of snow. Predicting doesn't necessarily mean we get it. This conjunction is, I think it's 700, 800 years that it's happened where it's so close, really, really close. And consequently, we're having to have this wonderful energy come in. And this is after a year of all sorts of things happening. It is really a different time. I think a time where we have an opportunity for those of us that do pay attention to energies, that do work on self-growth, that do want to be connected to the universal love source. And so that is happening on Monday, tomorrow. So that's kind of exciting, actually. And I was also reading that if you want to see this, the best time is 45 minutes after sunset to look in the southwestern sky. Now, unfortunately, where I am, they're predicting some snow that's coming, but maybe the evening skies will be clear. So we'll see what happens for that. Now, let's go back to what Christmas is. Christmas was always important to me because it was a time where I got to, we actually visited with, I have 2 older sisters that had large families, and I have a younger brother. We're both still alive and here. And all my nieces and nephews still, no, some of them have gone and passed over, but they're still. But we used to have large get-togethers because it's summer in New Zealand where I'm from. And we had like outside food and lots of food, and as kids played a lot, and it was a joyous time. And that's what Christmas is about. Not only just the act of giving, but the joyousness of being alive and celebrating. This year will definitely be different. So I was thinking of 3 questions I wanted to just touch on. First of all, Christmas. What is known for a peace? They talk about peace. If you all have any readings on the Christianity religion, of which I went to Sunday school for a long time when I was young, and I always have looked at Jesus as being a master teacher. That has been very, very prevalent in my life and many times. And he talks about peace. Now, world right now is, again, unsettled. Now, what is peace? What does it really mean? I didn't look up in the dictionary because I know what peace means to me. It's when I have a sense of quiet and everything is in its quote unquote right place, where everything happens and works in the direction of where it is. This means that this year, a lot of people have experienced separation from family, isolation. A lot of us have had different, whether it is the virus or other viruses, which have left us not as well as we would have liked for quite a long period of time. I know I was one of those. But that peacefulness that comes from inside is really what we're wanting to seek. And we're wanting to be able to contribute that to the other. And so where do we find this peace? Well, we actually find it inside of ourselves. It's when everything comes together and we're not feeling regret, we're not feeling guilt, we're not feeling worried, we're not feeling concerned. What we're feeling is a knowing that no matter what, everything is in its right place. And I always say right timing, because usually we don't feel that things are happening at the right time, fast enough, or whatever. But really, in retrospect, and that's what age gives you, is retrospect, you see that everything occurred at the right time in relation to your growth, in relation to your awareness, in relation to you being connected. So where do we find it? Inside. Now, how can we access it? We often access peace by seeing things outside of us. I get a great joy of the lights that are happening in our town. I get a sense of wonderment, a sense of community, a sense of enjoyment. And again, I'm going to use that word joy, the joyousness, which can lead to that feeling of peace, that everything is in its correct and proper place. Looking at nature. I'm lucky. I live between two lakes. Sometimes the lakes are quite rough and the wind's howling and everything, but I can sit in the comfort of my car and look out at them. And the other day I saw 3 swans in a lake that doesn't usually have swans that I ever remember seeing them. They usually are in the southern lake we see swans. But here was 3 swans. Unfortunately, they're a little far away and my phone camera didn't pick them up very well. I also saw a lot of Canadian geese, quite a lot of them. I was thinking they were coming together as birds tend to do in order to fly further north. Or further south, sorry, not, they were going to the warm, I guess, going south, not north, because snow's coming here. And then you get a sense of the order. Besides all the politics, oh boy, my wording this morning, all the politics, all this and that, all the restrictions, the nature continues in its own order. And we must take a sense of peacefulness and an awareness of that, as how that all comes together. So we're celebrating Christmas time. We're celebrating the solstice. And by the way, I believe Ireland and some places in England, they're live streaming what happens when the sun comes, because the sun will come in around in certain areas. I know Australia is having a big gathering in the what we call Ayers Rock, and I can't pronounce their Australian name, sorry. But it's like their people are gathering in certain ceremonies. And because many of us cannot be in those ceremonies, because we've always held one locally for years, not this year. But there are some that you can attend virtually. So you can look online and find where those are if you want to participate. I want you to be able to access your peace. I want you to be able to let go of the worry and the concern, and especially the fear that has been generated about where we are and where we're going. Do you realize that humanity has continued for a long, long time? It has lived through other, like the Great Plague, where millions of people have died, absolutely millions of them. We are, especially if you're of European descent, as I am, we are a product of that. We come from a very strong ancestry. Many of us come from people who came and traveled to other countries knowing they could never go back, never see their relatives again, and maybe letters that took forever to get back and forth. And yet that strength is within us. And that needs to turn itself into having a peacefulness about how we can survive. We've had world wars where we've watched, as women, our men go off and may not come back. And yet we had the strength. My ancestors survived where they had rations, rations and had very little food, but managed. And that what we must realize as we come into this time period, that we are strong, that we are survivors. And those that do not survive, they contribute to our sense of continuing on with faith, with knowingness, with being in our hearts that all is well. Because that's what Christmas is about, the joy of living. Christmas came from the north where it's dark. The sun in what is coming to its, and that's what solstice actually is about, is coming to the end of its journey southward, where they are all in the summer. My family are out on the seas, on having swimming, and they're doing all sorts of fun things. And now the sun will start to come back towards the north. What we need to realize, the dark is always replaced by light, always. The light is always there. I remember one time talking to a person that was very, very depressed and could not see any light. And I said, you must remember behind these clouds, because it was a gray day. You know how we get gray days here, where there's nothing but gray clouds. So behind the clouds, there's sun shining. We've got to sometimes break through those barriers of darkness, of grayness, of feeling not the hope that we feel, to know the sun is always shining somewhere. The sun shines 24 hours a day. It's going to still last for a long, long, long time. We know eventually there will not, it fizzles out because suns do that. But we don't at this point have to even think about that. But we can think about peace for ourselves. We can think for the awareness of who we are and where we're going and what we're doing. So I wish you a wonderful solstice, a wonderful sense of allowing the energies in and knowing they're there for you, each and every person on this planet. Those energies that come towards Earth will be received or not. Be one that receives them, because it changes the essence of who you are. It changes your outlook. It changes a sense of being. And then I want to say, even though I will be talking again on Wednesday, you may not be listening to that, have a Merry Christmas. And merry means joyous, happy, wonderful. Enjoy the day for you. Do something for you. If you cannot be with family, at least we can usually phone and or talk face to face in some ways. But you can also look out. And if it's not snowing, or if it's not cold or wet or whatever, you can rejoice with whoever or whatever, even if it is just yourself. I wish you a wonderful, happy holiday season. Thank you for watching.